Hey everyone, and welcome back to the Dice Tower. I'm Camilla.
I'm Zee.
And welcome to the Deepwood with us here. This is a new series that we're going to be doing, kind of interspersedly here, as we go through an Oathsworn into the Deepwood campaign.
That's right.
So this is my first time kind of going really deep into the campaign. I have started one. It'll actually be my third time starting, I think, a campaign. But I'm going to finish it this time. I'm so excited to see through the Deepwood to the end.
Right, and this is my second time having a go at it. I played just a little bit, dabbled at the beginning of the game, but certainly not something as in-depth as this. And like you said, we're going to be continuing this story and seeing our way through it, seeing everything the game has to offer.
Right. And also, Joey and his wife Alex are going to be doing their own separate campaign and might be joining us for some videos later as well as we take you through kind of the different branching ways that the story can go. So that being said, this video will not have any spoilers because we're going to be talking specifically about rules that we learned we were playing wrong.
That's right.
So we played the first session, and then we went back to read the rule book again, made notes on rules like, oh my gosh, we've been doing that one wrong, and then continued into our second play with the corrected rules. So we want to bring those commonly misplayed rules to you.
And I should go ahead and mention also that some of these rules and rules clarifications also came from checking documentation online.
Yes.
Seeing questions being asked online on BGG and other places. So this is not just things we missed in the rulebook, but things that were perhaps not as clear as they could have been, and those clarifications were found outside of the rulebook as well. So that's what we're going to be covering today. And then after this video, in the continuing coverage of the game and sort of our story through, then we're going to go into spoilers in upcoming videos, and we'll just kind of tell you what happened.
Right.
You know, tell you how it went, what we did, things that happened, things that wowed us, things that we thought were interesting, neat twists, whatever. This is you ideally joining us along for our journey through this world.
Exactly. And also comparing that journey to someone else's play session when Joey and Alex are able to join us as well and kind of see the different ways the game can go. So we're super excited about it. Lots and lots of spoilers to come, but not in this video. Let's jump right to our rules that we learned about after the first session. Alright, so this first rule I'm going to talk about here is actually courtesy of Joey. He got this one wrong. He taught this one wrong, but we were able to correct it. And that is in deciding which body part to hit on the monster.
Yes.
So they each have different body parts on the sides, and you will hit the closest one to you. If there's a tie, you can decide which body part to hit after you draw the cards or roll the dice. So after you come up with your hit value.
After your attack.
After your attack, yes.
Yeah.
And so you can decide afterward which one you're going for based on your result.
Yeah, to be fair, as a corner, it's a bit of a corner case rule because it is always the closest. That he didn't get wrong.
Right.
What he technically got wrong was if there are two that are the same distance from you because one body part is already gone or something, then you get to decide where after you see your hits.
Right. Yes.
Right, so
if you're attacking from the behind, and are you going to go right flank or left flank? You can decide after you see your results.
Yeah. So
it does come into play a little bit late game in the combat section of it. So, yep, you can decide after you attack which body part.
All right. I'm going to go ahead and throw one in there too then. One that has to do with taking out those body parts and breaking those dice if you would. The attack that a monster does back to you sometimes has a little symbolic tag. It could be a little mouth or a little slash or something. If they are attacking you from a section that has that symbol and you've already broken that die, the attack goes through normal. If it does pushback or if it does something like that, it does that. But you ignore their best flip or their best die if that spot is broken. So their strongest might attack is ignored because that die on the monster is gone.
And that's huge, because I think the first time that I played that, I was like, oh, I think, the example I used is, oh, hey, they don't have the right hand anymore, so therefore that attack doesn't hit. No, it still hits. It's just weaker.
Right. They're wounded. It's not missing.
Right. Another one for me with combat that I got wrong until I reread the rule book was if in your missing attack. So if you attack and you get the 2 blanks, then your attack misses, right? If you miss, you get any combat tokens you spent back plus 1 of your choice.
Yes.
And I missed it. That's huge. We were getting wrecked because of that. I remember in the very first battle, I was like, why is this so hard? And then when I read that rule, it was like, that makes sense. Any combat tokens you spent, come back into your supply. If you didn't spend any, of course, you don't get any, other than the 1 that you get to choose from the supply in addition. So it kind of...
it encourages you to commit.
Right, it does.
Because if you miss, you get all that stuff back and a little something extra.
Yeah.
It's not that I lost by 1, like I didn't hit by 1.
Right.
It's like I just spent all my strength on this 1 swing and it didn't work out. Well, you got that stuff back if you didn't connect at all.
And it's really nice because then, like with the reroll tokens, you know, that, oh, do I save it? Do I not? No, commit, go for it, you know. So thematically, it's like really getting in the battle and committing and just going for it, you know, and then feeding off that adrenaline battle so you get more rerolls and things like that.
Exactly, yeah. Another one we should talk about, I don't know if you wrote it down or not, but it's the idea that the baddies, when they hit you, their exploding dice and their sort of extra flips, they don't work for them. They don't work for the bosses, unless otherwise specified maybe later. I don't know. But, you know, it was just the first time that we went into a fight, it was sort of like they're beefy already. But if you are also taking into account the fact that, oh, look at that, they flipped 2 extra cards, you are going to get wrecked. So that's another one to remember. They work for you, and you definitely want those. They don't work for the baddies.
Right, exactly. Yep, I definitely had that one written down. And funny, I talked to Joey. He missed that rule as well. Yeah. So that's 3 of us reading the rule book that missed it. And I don't know why. I don't know why that didn't click. So don't forget it. It is a huge rule that makes a big difference.
Yeah.
That they don't kind of explode and grow on from there. The other one is one that I kind of already mentioned here when we were talking about the broken hexes or the adjacency hexes. But if the closest hex or closest body part hex to you is broken, you get to go to the next largest. I'm sorry, the next nearest. You get to choose which way to go.
Right.
We missed that the first time and still thought you had to just go around the monster to get to where you had to be. You don't. You can still attack from the back, just one of the next closest ones that's not broken.
Right, yeah. So you are still next to that monster.
Right.
Even if that part is, the representation of it is gone. You're still smacking at it.
Right. So that was the big one.
Yeah, several of the ones I have here had to do with sort of managing my hand and my abilities and the things I could do on my turn. So I ended up getting an injury, which is something you hang on to and it becomes part of your combat deck or your combat hand of cards when you get into a new fight. And I made a mistake that I counted that injury in my 7 ability cards. And it should be in my hand above and beyond those 7. I still pick 7, and if I have injuries, they also go in my hand, just like armor and weapons and stuff is above and beyond those 7 cards.
I believe those injury cards limit that first card play, but it doesn't handicap your arsenal, if you will.
It looks like they often say you have to play them if you're holding them, yes.
Well, yeah, we'll see what's to come, I guess. Right. The only other one I have is one that I know that we very differ on how we like this in here in it, and that is we had to go back and review the movement after our first play because that really kind of drug the gameplay to a pretty screeching halt a couple times as we figured out how to move, what does it mean, what is the line of sight, a lot of grindiness in that.
And we're talking mainly here about the baddies, by the way. Not our movement on the board. It's pretty easy. It's their movement. How does the artificial intelligence behave? Right.
Yes. And when I went back and read the rule book, there was something specific that I really, really like, and it's this whole thing about play the game, move intuitively. You know, if everyone at the table, this is a cooperative game, move intuitively. And if you played a different game and that movement is more intuitive to you, use those rules. So it's very specifically spelled out in here, and it is very methodical and very, to me, flowcharty, you know, which is great if you're into that. I don't like to lose that momentum of the battle in the moment to really get into the nitty gritty. I'm definitely more the thematic player.
Right.
So I like that. Move intuitively. Okay, all right, move 3 spaces. We're agreed it's here. Good, it's there. We go. Sure. You know, I like that better. But I like that that's in here in the rule book for those who want it. But also, if, you know, you're like you and you like that precision and stuff, the rule is in there as well and spelled out very clearly on what is the correct way if you want to find the answer.
Yes, yes. The armor. I had some persnickety action with the armor, and that's something you want to be careful about. You are holding armor that is already being tracked on your player board. If I have an armor that gives me 2 armor, there's already a token on my board that corresponds to that, just like there might be a little yellow cube that represents my weapon. You do not get to play that armor again for +2. It is being accounted for. You do not one time get to play it and go, now I'm at 4. You can do that with the ability cards. You know, you can add on to that. But the armor is already accounted for. In fact, if your armor doesn't have an ability written on it, you can just set that aside and forget about it. It's taken care of. It's already accounted for on your player board. And the same thing can be said for the weapons. And in fact, that sort of, we went back and forth of, do the weapons go in your hand? Do the weapons go on the table? The best way I've found of dealing with it is they go on the table in front of you somewhere, okay? Again, if they give you a bonus for combat, a little yellow cube or what have you, which represents the die or the card, you have that tracked on your board. And that, you'll always get that if you're attacking. Now, if you want to trigger the ability on a weapon, that's when you put it into play. You can pick it up from the table and put it into play, and it will battle flow, or it'll battle flow as other things are played. It will not trigger battle flow, but you just sort of set it there, you do the ability on it, and you can forget about it. Because the cube is being tracked and the ability you already did. You are done with it. Once it battle flows back out to you, then you can play it back out in front of you and have it there available. Instead of holding it, I found keeping it in your hand, I felt like, oh, I'm going to swing with the weapon by playing it. I'm like, no, you're holding it all the time. You're always attacking with it.
Right.
The special ability you can choose to do once, and it's on cooldown till it comes back to you.
Right. I think my preferred method, I agree, that was confusing, and we went to the rulebook multiple times, and that's one that we ended up going to BGG for, specific clarification. My preferred method is to keep it in my hand. Of course, it tracks it on the board, so I have the stats there, and then forget about it. You know, and then it's in my hand for that special ability. But I could see why you would want it on the table to not consider it for that extra defense or whatever. So, for sure.
That's it for me. That's everything I wrote down.
That's it for me as well. So there you have it. This is our adventure into the Deepwood of Oathsworn here. And these are...
One thing we should mention, you'll notice all of these rules come from the second half of every session.
Yes.
Okay?
Yeah.
The game has the story session, and then it has the sort of boss battle section. And every single rules question that we are clarifying here, hopefully to help you, is from that second part.
Yeah.
Because that first part is incredibly straightforward and easy and just flows.
It really does.
Going through the town, interacting with people, they make you make a little test here and there are rules certainly for being ambushed, things like that, but they are very straightforward.
Right. Especially if you're using the app, and that's probably something else to mention. I don't know what Joey and Alex are doing, but in our session with, we're playing with another buddy, we are using the app, and it is pretty seamless. I mean, it tells you, it pulls the section for you, it goes through what tokens to grab, what choices to make, it documents all that. It is really, really a slick experience, that first half of the story. Battle is where we did find it kind of get a little bit
there's a lot of rules.
Grindy.
There's a lot of rules.
A little bit. But that's what we're here for. That's what this video is for, to help you overcome those rules of the, specifically here, the combat session. So maybe you can go through your own journey as well. Either way, we hope that you'll join us for this. Like I said, the videos from here on out will have full spoilers. You know, I'm not going to say this too many times, maybe the first video or the second video again here, but it is going to be our experience compared to Joey's, just talking about the highs, the lows, things we wish we'd done wrong, you know, the blood, sweat, and tears, if you will. So we're excited about it. We're going to keep going. Hope you'll join us. And until next time, I'm Camilla.
I'm Zee.
And we'll see you in the Deepwood.